Okay, guys, this is about solving radical equations. Radical equations are equations with a radical in them. So it could be the square root, it could be the cubed root, it could be the fourth root, whatever. It's this radical. Okay, so like all equations, you want to get the variable by itself. So you have to ask yourself, what do I need to get rid of? What do I need to undo this? Okay, so we want to get u by itself, but right now u is inside a radical. So we have to figure out how to undo it. Okay, so it's basically saying what the square root of what number is 15. Okay, so to solve this, if you're just going to use math though, is to undo what's being done. So to undo a square, you would square it, right? Because these two cancel each other out and you just get u. And 15 squared is 225, and that is your answer. Okay? Just that simple. That's the simplest one. And a lot of you guys have actually done this one already. Moving on. So then we get to a little bit more complex problem. Okay, so you notice that in this problem, take a look and actually analyze what you have here. You have a square root, you have the variable, it's stuck inside the square root, but it's also stuck with a negative 16, and the minus 2 is outside. Okay, so what we want to do is isolate this square root. Okay, so we are going to add 2 to both sides in order to get it by itself, because we're going to use the technique of squaring both sides. So we get equals 5. Okay, we want to get the v out, so we got to get it out of there. So we need to undo the square root. So we're going to square both sides. And we get v minus 16 equals 25. And now you need to ask, what do I need to get rid of? The negative 16. What's it doing? It's subtracting, right? So this is easy stuff. Right there, 1141. So v is equal to 41. Okay, so 41 minus 16. You can plug it back in to check it. The square root of 41 minus 16 minus 2, is that equal to 3? Well, let's see. 41 minus 16, I don't know what 41 minus 16 is, guys. It's 11 minus 5, 25. So it's the square root of 25 minus 2. Is that equal to 3? That's 5. 5 minus 2 is 3. 3 equals 3. Check. All right. So the idea is that you're just squaring it. Okay. You're just getting it by itself so you can square it. If you tried to square it like before you got it by itself, you are in loads of trouble. This is why you don't want to do it, because if you did this squared, you're going to have to FOIL this out. It would have to be root v minus 16 minus 2 times root v minus 16 minus 2, and you wouldn't get rid of the square root. So it wouldn't be advantageous. It wouldn't be illegal. Like, I mean, in other words, you could do this, and then if you followed all your rules right, you'd be fine, but it's not the best solution by far. Oh, that was a V. Whoops. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So don't do that. Get it by itself first. Get it all by itself. Isolate the radical. Okay, next. Okay, take a look at this one. Okay. Again, we want to isolate this radical. So we're going to add 2 to both sides. So we get negative 3 is equal to the square root of 2v plus 15. Now think about this. Can you have a square root equal to a negative number? And the answer to that is a big fat no. So this is no solution. Okay, you do have to notice that. Okay, now let's say you didn't notice it. What would happen if you decided to square both sides? You would get 9 equals 2v plus 15, correct? You would subtract 15 from both sides and you would get negative 6 equals 2v. V is equal to negative 3. Okay? And if you plug that in, let's see what that would happen with it. You get 2 times negative 3 plus 15 minus 2. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot that we had the minus 2 on the other side. Oh, hang on a second. So we get negative 6 plus 15 minus 2 equals negative 5 question mark. Negative, that's 9 minus 2. No, it's still not right. Okay, you get negative 5 is equal to, okay, that would be 3. 3 minus 2 is not 5, negative 5. So that would be no solution. So you could, get your answer and plug it back in to check it and get no solution. And by the way, we will have to do this in a more complex problem, like you have to check it. In this one, typically, if you can recognize right here, you're good to go. But it's always good to plug it back in just to check it and see. Okay, next. Okay, so check this out. We have 2 radicals. Okay, but notice we have a 0 here. So we're in a good situation because the trick when you have 2 radicals and no constant is we can just add that to the other side, this square root of 6w plus 7, and you will get 4. Oh my gosh, I'm going to write it better because you deserve that. Let me write it better. Okay, so let's go. The square root of 4w plus 13 is equal to the square root of 6w plus 7. So all I did was add the square root to the other side. Now, the reason why I did that is because when you square both sides to get rid of the square root, then you can solve the equation. But now, when we did this, when you square this, okay, you are sometimes introducing solutions that are not really solutions because of the way a square root works and sometimes how you square a negative number and it's positive, and you square a positive number, it's positive. Through that process, we could be screwing up the problem simply because we're squaring both sides. So what we're going to do is you are going to solve it, and then we have to check the answer, okay? The answer may not be true. Okay, hopefully I did all the work right. I subtracted 7. I got 2w equals 6, w equals 3. Then you plug it back in. So 4 times 3, okay, plus 13 minus 6 times 3 plus 7. And is that equal to 0? Question mark. So 12 plus 13 is 25. Square root of 25 minus 18 plus 5 is 25. Is that equal to 0? Check. Okay, so it does work out. So therefore, this is your solution. But anytime you have a square root and a square root and you square it, you might be introducing extraneous solutions. And you have to check it. All right, so let's take a look here. Okay, I'm going to rewrite it. Okay, 7b minus 10 equals. Today I have my board set so nice, you guys. Like it's exactly at the angle that I need. Okay, we're going to square it to undo the square root, and you get 7b minus 10 equals b squared. Now, why is this different? It's because it's quadratic. How do we solve a quadratic equation? Set it equal to 0. Okay, if we were in class and I had you there, I would have you yelling that out so many times. You'd be so tired of it. So set it equal to 0. I'm not going to move the b squared to this side because I don't want it to be negative. So I'm going to subtract 7b from both sides, and I'm going to add 10 to both sides. At this point in your mathematical experience, I think you can handle all the weird changes I'm doing all at once. I've moved them all over, and I set it equal to 0, and I used, a is equal to b equals a reflexive property. Okay, so it's quadratic. You can either use the quadratic formula or you can try to factor it. Lucky for us, they generally give us good problems to factor. Okay, if I'm not teaching you how to factor, so I'm not showing you the process, you guys. I assume you know it. Okay, we set v minus 2 equal to 0, or v is equal to 2. or v minus 5 equals 0, or v is equal to 5. Okay, so we got two answers. Let's check them both to make sure they work. 7 times 2 minus 10. Is that equal to 2? Okay, 14 minus 10. Is that equal to 2? And you can see that it's going to be. This is 4. Square root of 4. Is that equal to 2? And yes, it is. Okay, let's check the other one. I'll change colors to show a different check. Let's do 5. 7 times 5. I guess that's really poor taste. Okay, let's go square root of 7 times 5 minus 10. The square, is that equal to 5? Sorry. Whoa. Okay, 35 minus 10, is that equal to 5? Square root of 25. Yes, indeed it is. So both work. So you have two solutions. So if there's more than one solution, separate them with a comma. Okay. All right. Now look, it's getting a little more complex, but not really hard, you guys. It's basically the same thing we've been doing. Okay, we're just trying to get the variable out of the square root. So to get it out of the square root, we simply square both sides. But this time you have a binomial, so you have to square the whole binomial. Now, I told you guys, do not write v squared minus 4. Anytime you have a square, write it out and you will not screw up. Number one mistake is people write v squared minus 4. Wrong. It's v squared minus 2v plus 4 equals 5v minus 14. Combine like terms. Okay. What do we do to solve a quadratic equation? Set it equal to 0. Okay, got to set it equal to 0 to use the zero product rule. So we're going to subtract 5v from both sides. We're going to add 14 to both sides. And this side is going to be 0. And this side is going to be v squared minus 9v plus 18. And now all you need to do is factor that or use the quadratic formula. I'm going to factor because I like factoring better. 18 is 2 times 9, 3 times 6, and that is how we're going to get to 9. We need a -3 and a -6, and they will multiply to 18, so v is equal to 3, or v is equal to 6. And now what you do is you come back in, and you check them. So let's see. Let's plug in 3. 3 minus 2, is that equal to 5 times 3 minus 14? 1 is equal to 15 minus 14. Yep. Square root of 1. 1 is equal to 1. Check. So 3 works. Good. Let's check 6. 6 minus 2, is that equal to 5 times 6 minus 14? That's 4. 5 times 6 is 30 minus 14, which is 16. Square root of 16, is that equal to 4? Indeed it is. All right, so both work. Good. Moving on. All right, now it says solve it for A. Notice A is inside. Again, we're just going to have to square both sides. That's all you have to do. So we get h squared is equal to a over 6 because these two things cancel each other out. Then to solve for a, just multiply by 6 to get rid of the 6. So you get 6h squared equals a. And that's it. Okay. All right, word problems. All this is plugging it into the calculator, you guys. Just figure out which one they're giving you, whether they're giving you h or v. So an object is dropped from a height of h. It hits the ground with a velocity of v. There you go. And here's your equation. Write down your formula first. Formula, substitution, resolution, guys, will save your life. I promise you. So write down the formula first, and then it gives you a height of 29.2. That means you're plugging in for h. So v is equal to the square root of 19.6 times 29.2. And you have to just go to a calculator. Okay, that's all we're going to do. We're going to go to Desmos Scientific. So let's go to Desmos Scientific. And we're going to plug in this problem. The 19.6 times 29.2. So 19.6, whoa, wrong. Let's try again. 19.6 times 29.2. And actually, I'm going to put those in parentheses here. Here, I don't know if I needed to do that. And then I'm going to put that to the 1/2, you guys, or the 0.5. That means take the square root. I guess I could have just done this, square root of that too. And you get 23.92. Okay, if you don't like doing the 0.2, you could have actually done it easier by doing this, the square root of, and then putting in 19.6 times 29.2. And then let me get rid of all of this crap. Oh, and then you get the same answer. Okay, so the answer is 23.923. 23.92, it's to the nearest 10th. Okay, nearest 10th. So let's go back here. Nearest 10th. So velocity is equal to 23.9, I believe. It was less than 5, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay. Be careful. Some of you guys missed points on your test because you didn't round off to the right one. Okay. Normally you'd have to put meters per second. Okay. All right. Next one. If an object is dropped from a height of whatever and it hits the ground t seconds, okay, then you got this equation. So again, formula first. All you have to do is substitute it in. Suppose that an object from the top dropped from the top of the building takes 5.3 seconds to hit the ground. What is the building's height? So we're looking for h. H is trapped. So we are going to plug in 5.37 seconds. 5.37 seconds is equal to the square root of h over 4.9. To get rid of this, we square both sides. By now it should be okay. Do not actually figure that out. It says carry your intermediate computations to at least 4 decimal places. 4. Okay, and round to the nearest 10th. Well, here's the thing. You don't actually have to carry to 4 decimal places if you don't actually make them. In other words, don't plug this into your calculator yet. Leave it like this. And then look, you get h over 4.9. To get rid of the 4.9, multiply by it. And look, plug that into your calculator and you won't have any issues with rounding at all. And you'll just do 4.9 times 5.37 squared. Okay? All right, last one. Get my kitty before he walks on my board and screws everything up. All right, so this is the last one. Okay, it's a root index greater than 2. Notice it's a cubed root of y is equal to -3. So what you're going to need to do is undo this. Well, how do you undo a cubed root? You cube both sides. So we're going to cube both sides. All right, and the cube undoes the cube root, and you get y is equal to -3 times -3 times -3, which is -27. It works in any way, you guys. If it had the 4th root of x is equal to 2, you would do this. You would take it to the 4th power to undo it. And that is 16. You get x is equal to 16. Okay? Yeah. Okay. And that is it. I think that's it for this video. Yep, it is.